of encouragement as we talk about the things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to start off by talking about who we are, because a lot of people don't know who we are. That's just going to be real quick. We'll talk about who and what Nina's really is, and what have they done, right? And then we'll talk a little bit about the federated account and the Constitution that we talked about last week. Just go through it right quick, and then we're going to have Zapo, who's now going to give us those wonderful slides that tells us
Yeah.
what's happening with the money. He's gonna add a couple more interesting slides, and he's gonna tell us once he joins us what's happening with the money, and you can now start to see what.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry, Jane. Sorry. Quickly, Ayo, just indulge me for a minute. There's also Mr. Ismail here on the. I'm not sure. We just want to acknowledge him as well.
Yeah, I will call on you later because I saw that, but I wasn't really sure. I'll have you do that because after I'm going to call on you. I'm just going to call on you guys to kind of say a few words, okay? But welcome, Ismail, and Modipe is going to say a few words about you. But I wanted to have Ayo, you're welcome. If you can give us a few words, and then Modipe is going to and then we shall get started into more of what we're talking about today. Welcome, Citizen AY.
Good evening, Jane. Thank you very much for the work you do. Thank you to hello everyone. Good evening, and special welcome to all the guests who are present and those who are going to join us in a little while. We're going to keep this really simple.
Recording in progress.
We are under attack, and we shouldn't be daunted by what they're doing. The simple thing that we need to remember is there is more of us than there is in our land. Now, how many of us have gone down to the north to take the land? How many southerners? Name one. There's none. But they are in our land. They are oppressing us in our land. It's time for us to rise up. Let's instill confidence in ourselves, in our youth. Our history is so important. They don't want us to go near our history because they know when we start exposing those histories, it will empower the youth. That's why they're putting us in all of these places to distract our mind. I want you to have a positive energy. I want you to have the self-belief in the South. The South can and will rise collectively. We must do it. We must work with Ninas. Please, referendum is something that we could. Please, if you haven't signed up to the Ninas, go ahead and sign up. Sign that referendum. Join Ninas. Do everything in your power that you can to make sure you connect. Right now, the single most important thing that we must all do, we need vigilantes across the whole of the South. It is that simple. Cut the long story, cut everything else out. Right now, we need vigilantes across the South.
Effective vigilantes.
Effective, thank you. Effective vigilante. Because they've turned the South into a killing field. And we are the victims. We need to put a stop to it. We do not wait for anybody in our land to claim our birthright. That land is our birthright. So I want you to have a self-belief that we can do it together. But we need to start talking together and have the effective vigilante. Look, I'm going to stop here. I could go on, but
let me just explain to the world, because we've got other people that are listening. World vigilante in Nigeria means a local security outfit that is there to protect the people. Because the government has failed to protect the people. And in fact, the Minister for Defense a few months ago, I believe, made mention that we need to pick up forks and knives, apparently, and fight the people with the AK-47s.
Exactly.
The government has not has not denounced the Fulani herdsmen for carrying this AK-47s. The government has not issued any orders making it unlawful for Fulani herdsmen to carry any kind of arms, but they've made it unlawful for the citizens. And I refer to the indigenous citizens, because the Fulanis are non-indigenous to the land. Okay, they're non-indigenous. And going even further, we've seen, I think it is the Bauchi governor that was talking about, oh, you know, all the Fulanese around the world are our brothers, and so we should use Nigerian money that belong to the indigents to settle all of their Fulani people from wherever they are in the world. And they're not just looking at settling, apparently. They're looking at colonization, because when you look at what Ruga means, it's colonization. Yeah. Right? And so the vigilantes we're talking about are local security outfits who are there to try to protect the innocent indigents, the innocent Christians, the innocent moderate Muslims, and make no mistake about it. The Muslims are under attack. If you look at the blacklisting of the U.S. Blacklisting of Nigeria in 2020, you would see that the moderate Muslims are under attack. We're talking about extremists here, Shariaists here. And Sharia means kill everybody and take their land. And if they refuse for you to take your land, make them slaves. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. The 12 contiguous states in the far north have already seceded from Nigeria. They have implemented Sharia. Okay, so again, vigilantes are not really like the term, like the way it's used in the Western world. It just refers to a security outfit to try to save our people from the genocide that is ongoing. So right now, I'm going to ask Modupe to unmute. Modupe is one of the hosts today. And
yes,
she's way awesome, as long as we can see like all of her face.
I don't know if
we go.
Can you see me? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Jean, and welcome everyone. Actually, I was just initially I mentioned that we should acknowledge Mr. Ojikutu, because I've seen him, you know, I've seen him a couple of times in our meetings, so I just wanted to acknowledge his presence. So, but before I'll give him, you know, the time for him to, you know, to say one or two things if he wants to. I just want us to go back to the clip that you played at the beginning of the meeting, where
Dr. Augusta.
Yeah, Dr. Augusta explained how the 12 nations in the North decided to do their own thing, and I said their own thing.
Yeah, and, the Sharia thing.
And yes, the Sharia thing. And really, if we are saying that that the nation is one and we're supposed to operate, you know, under one Nigeria. On Nigeria. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if 12 states decided to, you know, to use Sharia, that in itself, to me, is secession. Really.
Absolutely.
It is actually secession.
It is. No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
And that happened, and nobody said anything.
In 2000. Mm-hmm.
2000, but yeah. And so now that the other units within that federation are asking for self-determination to do their own thing as well, right? Now we're suddenly branded as a bunch of criminals, that we are now committing, you know, some kind of a crime for asking for self-determination. So I just want to say to our people, because one of the reasons why people will say, oh, we are not partaking in in Yoruba Nation or asking for, you know, for self-determination because the law, because it's against the law. Some of them will even use words like treasonable felony, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Treasonable felony for asking for self-determination? When the 12 Sharia states asked for self-determination in their using their to be using Sharia, nobody cried treasonable felony. So why is it now that we are asking to have, to have a say in the affairs that concerns our own units?
Which is a right, by the way, right, Modupe? It's a right.
Yes, which is our right to do so. Then now suddenly we're seceding. we're now, we're committing crimes, and we're guilty of treasonable felonies. So I just want us to be aware that what we are asking for is within our rights to ask for that.
And I think actually the courts, didn't the courts just in the past week or so indicate that agitating for self-determination is legitimate, it is lawful, it is our right.
And it is lawful by all ramifications, internationally as well. So asking for autonomy or some kind of self-determination on your own land as indigenous people, you're not doing anything wrong. It is the right thing to do. I mean, under this circumstance, since the supposed union is not working as we envisioned that it was going to, as our fathers, back in the days, envisioned it to work. So, there's
actually, and Mojokwe is actually a little bit beyond the envision, right? It's actually they agreed. It's on paper.
Well,
yeah. So we're gonna pay a bit of the Amanda Baylor thing to show that it is on paper.
It is exactly. So
yes.
So at this point, I'm just gonna say that we continue to ask for what is our rightful rights, or our rightful place where we are on our land. We're not asking for for self-determination. We're not asking for determination in the north. We're not asking for self-determination in other people's lands, but on our own land. And so we should continue to do that. And I just also want to add that that we're just not saying it, we're also backing it up with actions. So if we're on forums, I just want to say this, that if we're on forums where we see something that we need to share with with our peers, we can actually put it on a Twitter so that everybody else can partake, and we will have a lot of people chiming in and saying exactly the same thing, and it's out there rather than just leaving it on the forum where it does not really reach a lot of people. So I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so Ishmael, if you wanted to say a few words, that would be awesome. You are welcome to this place where we talk about all things Ninas and how we actually achieve our freedom. So Ismail, if you want to unmute and just say a few words, that would be awesome.
Hello, everybody. And thank you, Jane. Thank you, everybody, for great work. This has been a wonderful experience for me because right before my joining Ninas, I never even paid attention to so many things that's going on in Nigeria. I left Nigeria in 2005, and I only went back 2008. And since then, I really never follow any trend until, well, we hear news, here and there, until my older brother starts pushing this narrative about what's going on, and then I join Ninas. So I see all the effort Tony and everybody else has been putting in. I was on Clubhouse a couple of days ago. I heeded the argument is being, and I heard your presentation also, Jane. So I just want us to understand that it's a lot of our people just were in that space where I used to be. They don't understand what's going on. Some people would think it's not a big deal as much as a big deal as what we are pushing. And we'll just have to continue to let them understand that, because like last night, I was talking to a friend of mine before last night, or quite before, a couple of days before, the experience he had. He went to Nigeria and he came back. So I was telling him, so, all this agitation about Nigeria, Yoruba nation, ethnic groups living in Nigeria, he kicked against it, right? So he was like, no, it's no need for that. Nigeria is safe. Everything is good. I traveled to, Abuja. And I said, look, I understand, but a whole lot of things are happening. If it has not happened to you yet, you think everything is fine. That was about 2-3 weeks ago. Yesterday, he called me and he was in tears. I say, what's wrong? His friend, who happens to be one of the top, guys in Port Harcourt, he has money and he has built a big house for his mother. Now, the mother of his friend got kidnapped by Fulani herdsmen, and they wanted $100 million. 100
million naira.
100 million naira. So he was like, so what you've been telling me all this while is true? I said, yes, I told you. If it never happened to you, you think everything is cool. So this brings me to understand to the point where I was making that we need to continue to push this, this narrative to our people that the threat we face in Nigeria is real. And we're not going to wait until it gets to everybody's doorsteps before, we start fighting back. And as we can see, I was in New York and with a couple of other of my friends, and we, during the 1 million march, and at most we did a whole lot of work. You can see that Nigerian government is feeling it so much that they had to even hire fake Nigerians counter our effort. So that is to tell us that they know that we're doing something that is good, that's affecting, what they are doing. And they pretend to ignore what's going on, in public face. But on the ground, behind the cameras, they know there's so much heat that they're feeling right now. So I want us to continue, this night, what we're doing.
Thank you very much. That was very well said. Very well said. And I know this is kind of digressing from what we're going to talk about today, but for people to understand the reality of what we're talking about is very important. So I'm going to call upon Thomas. Thomas knows about the reality of what's going on. Thomas, are you okay to speak for a few minutes about some of the things that's going on around you? Welcome, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Very well. Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to speak very briefly and to also reaffirm what Ayo has said earlier on, that it's actually time for action, especially in the Middle Belt where I came from. I had the privilege to travel so that I can liaise with the grassroots people. The need to actually sign the petition, the NINA's petition for referendum, that is very key. And from the Middle Belt, we are facing a lot of challenges, like all of us know, the issue of kidnapping and all of that, especially in southern Kaduna and parts of Plateau State. So at this point, even as the people in the Middle Belt have subscribed to the idea of NINA's to bring about the total freedom and liberation from the grip and the siege that has been laid on this country, we have seen the need, and that has been emphasized for our people, the modern Muslims, Christians put together that are within the geographical location of Middle Belt, to actually embrace the idea of vigilante, which our youths have subscribed into that idea because of the reality. Now, it is difficult for our people in most of the places in the Middle Belt to actually come together. It's discouraging. People cannot go to their mosque freely to go and worship, especially the modern Muslims. Then Christians, on the other hand, are finding it difficult to converge to their worship centers because of the fear of these bandits and all of that, the terrorists. So the issue of vigilante is what we are emphasizing, but most importantly, signing of the petition, because we need people to sign the petition. And like I've always done, we're still doing, is calling on the people, mobilizing them to sign the petition, then providing local security in all the Middle Belt region. And to the glory of God, we are doing that. But I'm also encouraging that that has to be done as a matter of urgency. We need more people in the Middle Belt to subscribe to the idea of NINAS, especially those, if you observe, there's a recent kidnapping that took place in southern Kaduna of recent. And I was just so shocked that a woman who happens to be a Christian from that among the people that were kidnapped was saying that that Nigerian government should not send the Fulanis away, that for so many years she has been with Fulani people and they are nice people. I said, what is happening? Is she not seeing the reality? Why is she in the bush, suffering gunshots and all of that every day? It is because of the havoc the Fulani people are wreaking on our communities. So what I'm trying to say in essence is this: our people in the Middle Belt, some are yet to subscribe to this idea, but we'll keep on pushing, creating awareness, mobilizing people, talking about NINAS, telling them what NINAS is and what we hope to achieve in no distant time. But the idea of vigilante will continue to do that, because right to self-determination is our right. It can't be taken away from us. Initially, our people, some of them were afraid that no, once you come out to protest for self-determination, the government will come against you and all of that. But it has appeared very clearly that the right to self-determination is actually for the people, indigenous people. They have right to, determine for their cultural, social life and all of that. So in the Middle Belt right now, a lot of things are happening. We're beginning to even come out freely, openly, to say that we are tired of the union called Nigeria. That is going on right now. Unlike before now that we chose to operate in the background because of the, the threat that has been posed by the government and government agencies on the people. But right now, the people in the Middle Belt are beginning to come out openly to say that we are tired of this government, we're tired of this union called Nigeria, because there's nothing, we are not benefiting anything, rather we are being killed every day. So the people in the Middle Belt are coming out right now.
It's good to hear.
Thank you, Thomas. It is very important for our people to understand the reality of what we're going through. But, let us get started. And Chike is here. And Chike, I don't know if you're in a place where you can speak for a couple of minutes. Because as Aya said in the beginning, it's important for our people to understand, especially a youth, to understand who we are, So it's really important for them to understand who we were. And the fact that what we're asking for is a restoration of our nationhood that we had previously. So I'm just going to speak for a few minutes on that. And then Chike, you can let me know if you want to speak a little bit on the NINAS journey, pretty much, some of the things that NINAS has done in the past to kind of set up where we are right now, where we are, that we have this opportunity of actually getting free, okay? So, but let me talk a little bit about One Nigeria. One Nigeria is not unitary Nigeria. One Nigeria was, at the time, between 1960 and 1966, 4 nations working together. They were self-governing, and the reason I always say this is they were self-governing, meaning they controlled what was going on in their country. They had their own leaders, right? They had their own leaders, and they were autonomous. They had their own separate constitution. Separate constitution. And I dare you, go and look in the Western region constitution and see if you see anything about Sharia. Look at the Eastern region. Look in the Midwestern region. The only place that you will find Sharia mentioned would be in the Northern region. But I'm going to tell you this, and you can check this out yourself. Go Google and search for Sharia in the quote unquote Nigeria, the one Nigeria constitution, and tell me how many times you see Sharia in there. Did the Midwestern region agree to that? Western region? Now, guys, we're talking about something that is extreme. We've got Muslims right here in Ninas, right here, right now. The moderate Muslims, they are under attack. They were under attack before it crossed over. So we need to understand that this isn't a religious them and us, because some people want to pit the Muslims against the Christians. This is not what is happening here. This is an indigenous war. This is about the ancestral lands that non-indigenous people want to take over, and they've partnered up with the extremists that are terrorizing not just Nigeria, but the whole West Africa and beyond that. Have you guys heard them start talking in England? Did you guys see those videos where they were talking about how Sharia had to be implemented in London? Have you guys seen that? So we're talking about a global phenomenon, but that is being orchestrated more deeply in Nigeria. So I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with the moderate Muslims in Nigeria that are indigenous to Nigeria. And we're saying, no, you cannot take our land. You cannot take our religion. You cannot stop the future of our children. You cannot take our heritage. And that's what we all need to be. Yes, we had Fulani who'd been in our midst and they were peaceful, but that's not who we're talking about. You guys have seen them coming, being the thousands and thousands and thousands of them that are being brought in here. Last week we saw the video about the Ruga that where they chased away. He said it was what? It was up to now 78,000 acres or whatever it is that he said 7,000 hectares or whatever. And nobody knows what the people that own the land don't have anything anymore. We're talking 4 million people displaced, right? So we were separate nations. We were not one indivisible, indissoluble. Okay, we're not stupid. Okay, they're unitary Nigeria. We're not stupid. So that we will put such a constitution in place that takes away our right to life. It takes away our right to life. The most common basic thing that a government should protect. That is just not right. So this is a restoration, right, of the nations and their ability to control their assets, take care of their people, progress with what they have, actually enjoy what they have, and not have over 90 million Nigerians living in poverty. Where's all the money going? So, young people, young indigenous Nigerians, wherever you are around the world, be clear on this. You came from a nation that is not unitary Nigeria. You came from a nation in the South and the Middle Belt. That is not unitary Nigeria. And don't let anyone talk to you about the fact that this is cessation, this is breaking up. No, it is not. It is restoration. What we have is an aberration, a forced upon us aberration that needs to be corrected. What's wrong is unitary Nigeria. What's right is national, where we have the nations in Nigeria. The multinational Nigeria is the correct Nigeria. That is what Nigeria. This is apartheid. This is genocide. And this is intense poverty for the masses. So Chike, I see that you have raised your hand. So we're going to transition. Before we start talking about the numbers, we're going to transition to a little bit of a discussion, about 5-minute discussion about Nina's, where it's been, and where we are going. So Chike, if you want to unmute, please.
Okay, the reason why I want to talk is for a lot of us to understand Nina's journey didn't start. And what led to Nina started, as Augusta said, 21 years ago. And most people didn't know what was going on, because if they started and IPOB tried to do something and they went underground, that is why a lot of people didn't know what they were doing, because they didn't want to clash with the IPOB, and then the same Fulani government will be the one that comes to break it up. So they went underground and continued their work. It's only I was working independent until I met Tony in 2012. Something happened, somebody started something in Washington, and it wasn't somebody I could work with. So I decided to step away. 5 years ago, I ran into Tony again, and he told me what happened. And the person that started in Washington was doing a solo, didn't want anybody. Even what he started, I didn't want Tony and the rest of them to get into the website. They had problem with funding. That is how I got involved, providing them funding for what they are doing. I thought there's another way to do it, and I will be able to get money and not disturb that person. So this has, and that is still going on. What we are doing here is not exactly, a lot of work is still going on in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
That we need to fund, so to say. There are only a few of us now funding what they are doing. Somebody talked about vigilante. A governor in Middle Belt, because of what Nina did, now understand that guns are no longer the prerogative of the federal government. So he said that he's going to arm his vigilante. When other governors do that, that means that they understand, now they understand what is going on. So if you have a governor, they are supposed to do exactly the same thing. The federal government does not have any exclude, because the constitution is now under dispute. All the governors should arm their vigilante, do the same thing and pass law to arm their vigilante. The one on Port Harcourt did the value added tax, and it's already implemented in Lagos. When enough states do that, the federal government will collapse when they are not collecting that money. And when you arm your vigilante, those that are coming with AK-47, having a home advantage, lay ambush for them, and because when they are coming, they know they are coming, but they are not. People are not armed.
Okay, if we can just kind of move on to the things that Nina has done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What Nina's have before Nina's, there was New Nigerian
Movement for No Nigeria.
New Nigeria.
Yeah.
Which was a disguise, so that they wouldn't know what was. They believe they are still working for Nigeria. That is how LNC was able to organize the Middle Belt, organize the West. They first organized the Southeast and South-South, and they moved to organize the others to be on the same page. So that is why it's very important when we are doing things, we are using NINAS, because after they did everything, they did away with New Nigerian, called it NINAS. Let NINAS be our face. That is how we are going to be effective if we are going outside.
Absolutely.
If we are doing LNC or Middle Belt or Dudua, we are dissipating our energy. When we send a message to the world, it should be one message.
Okay,
Not,
if you can wrap up now, Chike, that would be great.
not discipline that people, just NINAS. That is what we need to be doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So Chike is kind of giving you like a personal perspective as to some of the things that it's done and the things that NINAS has done. But way back in 1999, when this constitution came out, and we had all the brilliant minds taking a look at this, Inaharo, Wole Soyinka, Juku and the rest of them, Tony and Nadi, and they were just like, oh my God, we have lost everything. That's when the battle actually started, folks. They had ProNACO, where they brought everyone together to talk about this, right? And then they talked about the fact that this really could not continue. They had the lawsuit in 2007 and 2009. Then there were the solemn assemblies where the ethnic blocs were rejecting this unitary Nigeria and demanding for their nationhood back. The engagement with the US, we talked about that. The engagement with the UN, we talked about that. Engagement with the ICC, that all kinds of groups have engaged into, to be able to get them to issue the statement that they did last year, right? And then on December 16th, they issued that constitutional force majeure. And what that is rejecting, it is rejecting that constitution. It is rejecting unitary Nigeria and demanding for the nationhood to be restored. So that's what NINAS is doing. Now, remember, we all must support NINAS. We all are NINAS. At the same time, we all also belong to our separate blocks. So while we're working with NINAS to see that the message is going out everywhere, we must be working within our own blocks to see that our people are getting ready. Our people need to hear the message. And when it's coming from us, that we're from there, they will listen to it much better, right? So we have dual responsibility, making sure that the freedom vehicle is flying high and it is well known and everyone understands that we're under it. So they can't say that we're doing something else. Once you're under the NINAS self-determination umbrella, nobody should be disturbing you. When you're in your blocks, talking to your people, okay? So let's just get that clear. So I'm going to, I've been looking out to see where Dapo, if he has joined us. Dapo, have you joined us?
Yes, I'm here. I just updated my name.
Okay, I'm like, where is he? Okay, you're welcome. So I am going to now ask Citizen AY to come back in so that we can have a conversation. Citizen AY, I'm making you a co-host over here, so that we can have this conversation with Dapo that is going to allow us to look at the numbers, okay? Last week, we looked at the federating accounts and we looked at the criteria that they use, which is land size, local government area, and population. Nothing that actually is an advantage to the South, the New South, and definitely huge advantage to the foreign note. So, Citizen AY, where are you?
Here I am. I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so welcome, and if you can take us on through, that would be great. And like I said, that voice here.
Sorry, I'll get it up. You want the PowerPoint? Is Dapo running from his end, or am I doing it?
Yeah, I think Dapo, you have do you have the PowerPoint? I have made you co-host so that you'll be able to share that and talk at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's best
So,
if you do
yeah,
that.
but I just wanted you to kind of introduce the
Yes.
topic, Citizen AY, about what we talked about last week and what the numbers and what he's going to be presenting.
Last week, what we left it at was the clever trick done by the North, whereby they put the middle belt and the North together, giving them more land mass, and then using it as a way to now take control of the resources, getting the majority of whatever funds we were getting from whatever i.e. oil and other areas. And this is all clever use of numbers and moving things around, and that's why this thing about the states, the creation of the states was perhaps one of the biggest damages done to us, because it allowed them to now give each of them more local government areas, to give the North more local government areas, and even call areas that are not North. And I mean, this is when you look at the whole the numbers will speak for itself. When Dapo begins to talk, you will see the correlation between the numbers and the states, and how the division of those states to favor them has actually and continues to impact us in the South negatively. No, though the resources comes from the South. I think that covers it, Vaughn. That pretty much covers it.
Yeah, one of the things that we actually have not really touched on, and we're going to touch upon this, when you look at the poverty numbers, right? Remember, most of the money is going to the far north. But where is the most poverty?
South.
In the far north. What sense does that make? That now tells you that this money is not going to indigenous Nigerians, but is getting into the hands of the non-indigenous Nigerians. Because if it was staying in the hands of the indigenous Nigerians, why isn't it being used to feed them, to clothe them, to give them, the means to be able to do so, right?
I do have to ask one question in between that. The numbers that they keep giving us in terms of the number of people in the North, I believe that it's very suspect. I have a real problem with that.
We also have a lot of, remember, they've brought in millions of people that are Fulanese specifically, that are not indigenous Nigerians, that were not in Nigeria previously, but have been streaming into Nigeria.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing. But the numbers, as we know, don't reflect reality.
Jane,
Yeah.
Jane, can I just chime in?
Go ahead, and then we'll invite Dapo.
Yeah, do you want me to chime in real quick?
Absolutely. That's what I said. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I asked a question now. He said that that the numbers that they are basically doctored numbers. Well, they need to doctor them, because if they don't doctor them, then they cannot justify why those resources need to be allocated to them. That's number one. Then number two, to your to kind of piggyback on what you said, Jane, about where the money that they're getting all the money, but it's not reaching the lower, the masses.
It's just the indigenous masses.
It's because their system, their cultural system is more of oligarchy or feudalism, where where the whole, just a few people will be benefiting from whatever is that belongs to the belongs
definitely
to
not democracy.
So the little people, so the people below are just getting the crumbs of it, which is what they are doing to us now in the South. Absolutely. Where the majority of the money that should belong to everyone, now they are hoarding them, and then you have just the little crumbs are going to even our leaders, our so-called leaders, who should know better, right? They're just getting crumbs. All the Tinubus of the world, they're just getting crumbs. Wow. Crumbs, exactly. So so I'm just gonna leave it there. Thank you.
Okay. Ayo, if you want to welcome Dapo, I think he started sharing his screen already.
Yes, welcome on board, my brother Dapo. Please enlighten us. We're waiting with bated breath with the information.
These numbers look good, Dapo. I like the way you've done it.
Please, welcome. The floor is yours. Proceed. Thank you very much. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much, and hello, House. It's interesting because last time we did a very big number of slides. We covered a number of things, including VAT, GDP, IGR, and all the other things that make up the revenue from Nigeria. But interestingly, I thought today, just for just to show you how bad things are, let's just focus on one part, and this is the part where most of the injustice is easily visible, right? And we're going to talk about internally generated revenue, which is actually the money generated by the state in terms of taxes. Now, tax revenue is a very big driver. It tells you how the state revenue, how the state is doing. So typically, if your state is able to generate X amount of revenue, it will also be able to contribute X amount of federal allocation. And if it is also generating Y amount of revenue, it also contributes Y amount in terms of federal allocation. Let's not forget that the majority of the federal allocation and the drivers for federal resources are actually southern resources. So you think the top three revenue drivers, the import duties, they are all the ports are in the south. Oil revenue, all the oil mines and oil deposits are all in the south. And then the last one is the value-added taxes. And you can see how contentious that has been in the last few months, with state governors literally taking the fight to the judiciary to have a greater control of their VAT. And the irony about VAT is that, unlike other type of taxes which were agreed to be taken on behalf of by the federal government and shared throughout all the states using a revenue sharing formula that we're going to talk about, the initial understanding for VAT was that the states didn't have the competence and capacity to collect their own federal taxes or their own value-added taxes. But what they did was they told the federal government that a lot of people are afraid of the federal government, so you can go ahead, collect the VAT on our behalf, and when you are done, just send it back to us. And the federal government said, oh, that's an additional admin cost, and they negotiated and they told the government you could take like maybe 1% to 4%, something like that. So there shouldn't be a case where River State will generate 50-something billion in taxes and would only get back maybe 19 billion. It's never supposed to be like that, because it's literally what you generate, you're supposed to get back. But as you know, the Sharia territories, they've been very clever with how they manipulated the system, and they continue to use different type of goal shifting, and they are very intentional with the way they manipulate RMAFAC, which is the Revenue and Fiscal Allocation Committee, which is a way for them to continue to perpetuate the slavery that they've continued to enjoy. But if you don't take my word for it, let us just look at the numbers very quickly. So the Sharia territory, out of 1.3 trillion that was generated in taxes in 2020, 9%, 115 billion approximately, came from the Sharia territory, whilst 91%, as you would expect, came from the Alliance territory. This typically tells you how the Alliance territory does, even without the help of the Sharia territory. And this is also because, unlike federal allocation, IGR is generated by the states and is kept by the states. There was an interesting conversation that broke out on social media about a particular revenue arm of Lagos State that the Union of Road Transport Workers Lagos State chapter, that was generating approximately 1.2 trillion or something in federal revenue, and to that degree, it was generating more revenue than all the Sharia states put together just from NURTW. So let's go 1.2 billion. So let's go back to the numbers. So 115 billion was generated in IGR, while in the Alliance territory, 1 trillion, 191 billion was generated in the Alliance territory, so approximately 91%. But when it came to federal allocation, which is the use of the resources that was gotten by the federal government to the states, you can see that 16% was given to the Sharia territory and 84% was given to the Alliance territory. So just by looking at that, you can see that the Sharia territory gained an additional 5% in terms of federal allocation, less than what they actually deserve. But because they've been able to manipulate things like population, landmass, which accounts for population, landmass, and equality, accounts for 80% of the revenue sharing formula, they actually get a higher percentage of money that they did not work for. So these evidences are very, the examples are all over the place. If you look at the VAT, it's also very similar. And another question we always worry about, people say that how would we survive in terms of by the time the country, economically, how is it going to be stable by the time you have two separate regions? So that would typically be a problem if there was no evidence to prove that a huge part of the southern territory or the alliance territory doesn't already carry the bulk of the GDP. But if you look clearly again at the GDP numbers, you can see that 14% of the GDP of the country comes from the north, or the Sharia territory, while the southern territory, the Sharia territory, while the alliance territory actually owes 86% of the GDP. So if I could help you put it in maybe something you could relate to, if you look at the dollar and said the dollar was trading at 500, a lot of governors or central bank governors, they'll try to tell you that, it will be how would the country cope by the time you lose that portion of the country in terms of currency. And that is to simply tell you that the worst that the currency can be devaluated is by 14%, right? Because it's going to lose only 14% of its GDP. So the new currency, the new economy would only shrink by 14%. And compare that with the Sharia territory, they are going to shrink the economy by 86% because they will no longer have the access to the alliance territory that makes up their where they pension or where they perpetuate their existence on. So then that becomes very evident about the need for both regions to understand what is going to happen. So I think if we have that very simple understanding, it can help you like really just channel your thinking, especially
Your voice is not. Your voice is gone. Your voice is gone. Can you get closer to the mic, please? Very important
Thank
point.
you.
Can you go back to get closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
Okay. Is it better now?
No, we can't hear you. We still can't hear you. It's a bit. You're far away. Can you do something?
What about now?
Now, better, much better. Thank you. Much better. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So what I was trying to explain again is that the worst case scenario that the economy can suffer the shocks, immediate macroeconomic shocks in terms of separation from the Sharia territory, the implications, the immediate implications that we can see maybe between a quarter and maybe 5 quarters. That's the first month to 15 months when we're stabilizing after the balkanization. The immediate economic implication is that the worst that the currency can trade off will be around 570 because it's losing 14% of its value. That in itself might look like a big challenge, but you ask yourself, how quickly do we get to 570 anyway? In any case, given the huge loans that we continue to aggregate on behalf of all the regions, both productive and unproductive, and the continuous looting and misappropriation of funds. The sheer fact that, despite the number of years that we've continued to subsidize the Sharia territory, we still continue to have cases where poverty, education, all of these indicators are very different realities for the two territories. So if you look at poverty, for instance, just like you had mentioned earlier, in the southwest of the country, the poverty is bad, but it's just 20% of the population. And if you look at the northwest, the poverty there is about 80%. So it gives you an understanding that these are two different stages of development. There was a particular state that, in a particular year, they only were able to graduate 24 students. That was in Zamfara State. They were only able to graduate 24 students who had 5 credits, including English and Maths. And if you look at the Kano State, for instance, so they had the economic indicators there aren't so very positive, with approximately 3 million children roaming the streets in Amajiri. And you have a situation whereby 90% of the girls aged between 6 to 18 cannot read and write. So those are real bad economic indicators. And it's literally the economic argument for the balkanization of the country and separation. It makes a lot of sense because it's the only way where the two territories can survive. There's no economic policy that you're going to write for a South that is not going to disenfranchise the North. A clear example is in what we talk about every day, which is the quota system for getting into universities, where a student who score 4 and gets into a university, while a student from the Alliance territory will score 220 and wants to be able to get into the university because it's considered to come from a region that is, economically ahead and the other region is not. So these are the kind of problems that continue to build up when you try and run two of them together. What we've always known and what the economists have known, what a lot of people have always known when you look at the data, when you look at how the economics are governed, is that the North is like it's in the first stage of development and the South is in like the third stage of development. We have the 4 industrial revolutions. The North is in the first industrial revolution, which is an agrarian revolution. The second industrial revolution is the revolution of the steam engines. third revolution is the revolution of the computer age, and the fourth is the nano chip. And if you look at it clearly, because of our ability to have embraced Western education and our the ability of us to open our economies, so to speak, to be able to get a lot of things from the external world, we've been able to grow very quickly. And that's why you have a lot of VAT generated from industries, because again, those alliance territories are able to foster industries. And this is what makes it a growing economy, or attempting to grow economy. These are the indicators that people see and think Nigeria can grow. But when you look at Sharia territory, they're very, very struggle to integrate education. There's a lot of problems in there. Even the inclusive institutions that will allow their governors to be held accountable, just loot in mass. So these are the kind of clashes of civilizations between the North and the South. The numbers show it, the revenue shows it, VAT shows it, and the only way to sustain the alliance territory now is, as a matter of urgency, to fragment it along the two separate lines, and have a situation where you have in Korea, the North Korea and the South Korea. The North Korea is a communist state, like they run on communist principles, while the South Korea is a capitalist state and it runs on capitalist principles. And if you look at their GDPs and their economies, it's also very clearly two different type of countries. And that is what you see when you look at Nigeria. You can imagine a situation by Nigeria has a GDP of 400 billion and everybody thinks that's a big deal, but actually 345 billion comes from the alliance territory and 14 billion comes from the Sharia territory, and the Sharia territory actually controls the whole country. So you will never create policies that will immediately, create some sort of economic boom in the alliance territory. Because
we're effectively slaves to the Sharia territory.
Exactly, effectively, and there's no way that the Sharia territory, whilst in control of power, would do anything to allow you to prosper into the third and fourth industrial revolution and trying to catch up with the rest of the world, whilst they are still trying to live the Agrarian revolution. Which is why when you hear their leaders speak, the things that entice them are things like cattle settlement, cattle colony, that kind of conversations you would have had in the 1800s and in the 1700s.
Wow.
A lot of people who are in the Agrarian revolution, those are in the industrial revolution, are looking for industrial policies that will help them transit things like cleaner energy. So cleaning up the oil fields will be priority for people who are trying to transit into maybe the third industrial revolution, and find alternative sources of energy, try and foster proper power supply for the country and things like that. But in the Agrarian age, the things that take priority for you are probably things you've heard from the presidency, things like cattle colony, grazing routes, and all that other nonsense. And that would only take us closer to Pakistan and further away from maybe advanced countries like US, Singapore, South Korea, and all that, because they are thinking differently and the whole world is thinking differently. So I think I've been able to show some numbers now. I'll mute for now, and then we have so many other data, but I think we should be taking it in bits like this so that we digest it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this enlightening data. Modukwe, would you like to say a few things about what you're saying, please?
Yeah, very, 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 very impressive. I mean, the data and the analysis, superb. I just wanted to, I want to add to that, for those of us, and that's for our, or not us, but I'm saying our people, that still embraces one Nigeria. And I just don't know how you will hear this. You will listen to the analysis and still want to be in one Nigeria, because we are not the same. We're not the same. Just like the speaker, the presenter said, that they are like laggards. They are pulling us back. They want to go into the agrarian society like that happened even before my father was born.
That's it.
Right? And so they are now saying, like this is how we should live. When people are looking into, people are being born into technology.
Yeah.
Now. But it's so appalling. Just the mere thought of it. But I think this really should not only be here, it should be spread around. People need to know about this, especially on our university campuses.
Yes.
On our youth, our youth need to know about this. People need to know about this, because there's no way you will see these numbers, you will hear these numbers, that you will still say, we should remain in one Nigeria. You're stronger together. Some better, words that they say that makes absolutely no sense.
No. You're absolutely right. let me just I've you're honestly well said, Modukwe, and thank you, Gakpo, for this great work. It's enlightening. I hope many people will take on this. This is the reality, as against the falsehood that we've been portrayed and that's been bombarded with for years upon years. This is the reality that we must hold on to and share. The information here is damning. Now, one of the things that I was on a program, I was on a show, another show a few days ago, and they were asking me, what if we end up sort of going our separate ways? How are we sure that we as Yorubas or as Igbos and we will survive? I hope those who ask the questions, I hope they can see the answer right here. I don't have to say anything. The numbers speak for itself. I'm sure you'd agree, wouldn't you? So unmute, please. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. The numbers are damning, like you said. I mean, you don't even need to say anything. It's right there. And but being able to get our people to see this and hear the same thing that we're hearing, so that they are not looking at us as if we have two heads. When we're talking about, we need to leave, we need to leave, we need to leave. So
I think I want to kind of put some more light on these numbers, because these numbers just well, it's not too bad. Well, let's talk about that. Right. When you look at the fact that the cost of governing in Nigeria actually gobbles up all of this money, the cost of governance.
Wow.
And when you think about who is governing, right?
Yeah.
Who's actually has charge of this money, right? Because most of this money is going to governance.
Yeah.
And I believe Saludo said a few years ago when he was the CDN or whatever, and he said the cost of governing was at 72%. Okay, so take away 72% of this number, and now it's over 80%.
Goodness. It's
so you look at this and you think, well, it's not too bad. But then when you think, okay, who is governing, right? When you think about federal character, why is not enforceable? Who is at NNPC? Who is at all the major
customs, petrol
places where this revenue is actually, who's earning that money? Who's taking that money home? It's not the South.
Exactly.
So we have to kind of overlay, that discussion with this here, so that we can get a better feel of what's actually, where the money is actually going, right? And don't even get me started about the building the railroad or the road or whatever into Niger or to Morocco or wherever it is that they want to take it to with Nigeria. But don't even get me started on that. Right?
1 second. I saw Dakwa has brought a new slide. I wonder if we could say something about that. D, could you enlighten us a little bit about the slide? It can be, I'm sure, be helpful. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. So one question that we always ask ourselves is,
the mic, please make sure that mic is, so we need to hear you clear. Very important, please. Thank you.
Is it better now?
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Go ahead.
One of the biggest questions we always ask is, now we are running this government and things look like this.
Oh, you get back to the mic. Okay, just make sure you stay where you are when the mic is loudest. It's going off again.
Okay.
Now. Thank you.
All right. So one of the questions people always ask is, was Nigeria always this bad? So what were the dreams of our founding fathers? What kind of economy did they envision for us? You talk about cost of governance now. What was their own governance in their time when we had regional system of government, which was the closest we've had to a balkanized Nigeria? And you can begin to understand like what was obtainable then. So what we did here was we analyzed two specific data. We analyzed Nigeria's exports in 1950s and compared it to the global economy to see what percentage of the world were we controlling in terms of exports. And then we also took a look at how the government was structured. So what was the structure of the budget in the 1950s? And what percentage of the funds was spent on capital expenditure and what percentage of the funds was spent on recurrent expenditure, which is salaries and wages. So let's talk about the first part. So on the left-hand side, we'll talk about what products were we exporting and what kind of effect did they have on the world economy. we're going to talk about palm kernel and palm oil. Approximately, we'll control about 49% of the world's export or world production of palm kernel and 42% of the world production of palm oil. So we were literally very pivotal in the
We were
That
giants.
is impressive.
Giants.
That is impressive, Dapo,
Whoa.
given that palm oil and palm kernel has even increased in value today to the world because of its health benefits, right?
Wow.
Absolutely, and not just that, we pioneered a lot of we're in top positions when we had a kind of economy. What actually gave us an opportunity to be able to position ourselves as world leaders for palm oil and palm kernel and cocoa beans was that what you had then were not ministers of the economy, ambassadors that went to take pictures and all of that. They actually were sent on trade missions and trade expeditions to go and find, sales outlet for our produce. So Awolowo will send you to Sweden, to Norway, to Germany to go look for opportunities on behalf of the cocoa board to sell cocoa beans and, get good pricing, not just from Europe or not just from the UK, but to European countries. Just suppose that with what you have today, a lot of the ministers or ambassadors that represent Nigeria, they feel like their job is just to collect salaries and print passports and all of that. They actually don't create revenue opportunities for the country. They don't create incentive. Now put that side by side with the Chinese. Every time they come into Nigeria or they come into developing countries in Africa as a whole, the Chinese ambassadors to those countries are going to your president to collect low-performing loans to build useless railway lines to different countries. So they're doing well for their countries. On the other hand, your ambassadors and business, they are doing absolutely nothing. So let's go back to the data.
Yeah.
Rubber and long term, we contribute 24% of world production. And if you know what rubber was in the 1950s, it was pivotal to bicycles,
Yes.
it was pivotal to car production, it was pivotal to so many other things. So we were literally in there in the conversation. But if you look at what is happening today, we are nowhere in the conversation. Let's look at the 1959 budget. And this is a budget of 98.9 million pounds in 1959. Compare that with last year's budget of 10.3 trillion. Now, the question to ask is, how was the economy growing? The GDP growth rate. And GDP growth rate in 1959 was 8.4%. Last year, it was minus 0.1%. So 0.1%. So you can see that in the last 60 years, we've just spent the entire best part of the country just driving it backwards. So everything the founding fathers set up in terms of the structure of the country, the GDP growth, the things that they considered priorities for exports and revenue for the country, we've just continued to fail and fail. And we have gotten to a stage where we've gone from 8.4% to 0.1%. But that's not where it gets even shocking. Now, there are two indicators, capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure. So capital expenditure talks about the money that is set aside in the budget for rail lines, for bridges, for infrastructure, power, things that will drive the economy. And then recurrent expenditure basically talks about salaries, right? Now, capital expenditure in 1959 was 58% of the budget, and recurrent expenditure in 1959 was 24% of the budget. Take that side by side to last year. Capital expenditure was only 24% of the budget, while recurrent expenditure, surprise, surprise, 47% of the budget. So what we have again is another indication where in 60 years, the government has turned it upside down. When the founding fathers spent more building infrastructure and spent less paying themselves, this current system spends more paying itself, 47%, and only 24% to set aside for even road maintenance, potholes, building schools for a bigger population. So what this also explains to me very clearly is that we have continued to recess. And thank God for economics. It's a very beautiful understanding. It can help you put two economies side by side, and more importantly, it can even put two time periods side by side by virtue of your ability to calculate inflation rate. So what struck me was that 57 million and 2.4 trillion, they look like a lot of money, but I wanted to understand what was 57 million pounds in 1959 compared to Nigeria's currency, considering that every day the naira loses value. I mean, in the 1950s, I think 1 naira was almost $2.40.
Yes.
Today it's completely the other way around. It's about 5.70, 5.40, depending on who you are believing. So now, what I now did was I calculated we took a look at the data for inflation, and in 1959, between 1959 and 2021, the currency has lost 1,844% in inflation. So approximately the budget, 57 million in 1959, is about 105 billion British pounds in 2021, and that means that it was 52 trillion naira that was budgeted in 1959 for capital expenditure. Put that side by side with 2.4 trillion that was budgeted for capital expenditure 60 years later. So what we have done is that we have successfully destroyed the legacies of our founding fathers over a period of 60 years. And that is very important now, because all we can see, all we can hear, the palpitation, the economic indicators, the way poverty, unemployment, every single thing that should be going in the other direction keeps getting worse. So it's going to get to a situation whereby, the next data, the next time series, 4-5 years down the line, these numbers could be even, maybe 60-70% worse. So it is very important that this constitution is stopped, and we just balkanize the country. It is the only way for both nations to survive. Honestly, without any, they might think that they are doing themselves a lot of disservice by holding on to the rest of us, but like I keep telling people from the alliance territory, the worst that will happen to the currency is if we take a time period of 570, the dollar will get to 570 and we will survive. But if we continue the alliance territory, that's the worst that can happen. The Sharia territory, on the other hand, because they are losing 84% of their currency, now that currency is going to go to somewhere around 890 something or 860 something. So this is the reason why we must separate, so that both nations can begin to rewrite its own economy. I believe strongly that once the Sharia territory is free from the alliance territory, they can decide to not even sell beer, but they will not be able to break beer bottles. There are so many things that they will not now be able to do, because they will now need to grow their
I'm sorry. I'm laughing. Carry on.
So it's all over the place, and this situation also of continuing to bring cousins from Mauritania, from Seychelles, from Mali, from Guinea, from Senegal. Once there is no alliance territory to feast on in terms of resources, in terms of land to grab and all of that, people will start to have honest conversations with themselves to say, well, there was a time we had the oil of the deltas and the taxes of Lagos, for instance. We could have afforded to, take you in your millions, but now there's no election to rig, so we don't need you anymore. Then that's the only way that region can grow. There's no need to make Western education look bad. If that's the only option for you to civilize your industries, to produce labor force to come and grow your economy, you would build schools. You would not need to go to build schools. You would put people in schools by matter of force. Population control is something that must be done across the whole country. But population control is not a problem for the alliance territory, but it's a big problem for the Sharia territory. So which president or which governor can, using which constitution can implement population control in Nigeria when it is the singular most important factor in elections? So, we have so many problems, economic problems, real problems that if we don't solve, we are going to not only overtake, we've already, I think, India's, if you look at India's poor people, they make up 4% of their population. If you look at Nigeria's poor people, we makes up 40% of our population. If we don't take, control of the situation now, I fear that we'll get to a situation whereby the country will be in complete chaos, because we would have more poor people. We're currently at 86 million. We're projected to get to 120 million, and our population is projected to triple, which means that we could have as much as 220 million poor people by the year 2100. So it is very imperative, and that will be on a population of 2,286 million, or 786 million. Will be having close to 500 million poor people in the space of Nigeria. The problems continue to grow, population continues to skyrocket, but this is fueled by a religion that is part and parcel of the constitution of the North. So I think that we should be very intentional about solving the problems. The data is clear about infrastructure stagnation. The data is also very clear. So the final question is, somebody mentioned it and I thought to talk on it, is that question, that year-old question people keep saying, and it annoys me. You say that, oh, Nigeria is a big country, 200 million. Why do you want to balkanize the country? We will lose our GDP. So the question I always tell people is it population that makes a country or productive population? And then they freeze. They're like, population. So let me explain it to you, right? And we're going to use data. We're going to compare some countries, and then we're going to compare their population and their GDP. And then you can put it side by side with Nigeria. Let's start from South Africa. South Africa has a GDP of 283 billion, but they have a population of 58 million. To put that in context, Nigeria has 4 times that population, and we don't have 4 times the GDP. We barely have 2 times their GDP. Now, if you look at Ireland, Ireland has a population of 5 million, but they have a GDP of $390 billion. Nigeria has a population of 200 million, so 195 million more people than Ireland, and we have a GDP of 432 billion.
Yeah.
So if you put at Switzerland, for instance, Switzerland has a GDP of 703 billion, so 300 billion more than Nigeria. And they have a population of 9 million, so 190 million less people, 191 million less people than Nigeria. And they're able to generate a GDP 300 more than Nigeria. So this tells you very clearly that GDP is only relevant when your population is productive. And you can see very clearly where the productive population of the country is and where the unproductive population of the country is. But that country can never grow if you do not balkanize. If you look at Sweden, Sweden has a population of 10 million people. Nigeria has a population of 200 million people. Sweden has a GDP of 529 billion. And Nigeria has a GDP of 432 billion. So even in Africa, if you look at so many examples, you'll be shocked that GDP per capita, Nigeria is not doing so well. I mean, we have countries like Botswana, Tanzania doing better GDP per capita than we are. So it's very challenging when you're on the Seychelles, where people go for vacations and all of that. You'll be amazed that GDP per capita, despite the fact that they have 1 million people in population, is much better than that of Nigeria. So
my
again,
brother, look at New York, a state in just one state. Look at that.
Yes. New York has a GDP of 884 billion, twice the GDP of Nigeria.
We really can't look at the U.S. California or Texas. Those are countries.
But we have to. In terms of,
I understand. I'm just saying.
It's crazy.
They're countries.
That's the point. A lot of people think that, having an alliance territory that is not connected to maybe the core North Sharia territory, that country is going to suffer. You have to constantly paint the picture in their head that even with 40 million, even with 70 million, with 80 million, the country can still be productive. That it's not the population that's
much more productive.
Exactly, because they are smaller countries which are small as 5 million people. They have the same brains as us, the same eyes, the same head. In fact, you go to these countries, you find a lot of Nigerians thriving there, mostly from the alliance territory. But the problem is not that they are not be prosperous. The problem is that we are just in the wrong constitution that needs to be stopped. It doesn't foster growth. No. It only fosters population birthing, because the things that you get revenue for are not things that it doesn't reward you for being productive. It rewards you for having the most
your voice again, please. Close to the mic, please. You're going away. Your voice is going away. Please get to the mic.
Yes. It rewards you for having population and landmass, and it doesn't reward you for productivity.
You need to repeat what you're saying, Dapo, because your voice went away.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, the Constitution does not reward you for productivity. It doesn't reward you for industrialization.
Wow.
The only thing it rewards you for is population and landmass, and that is in abundance in the Sharia territory. And
local government area, because they've got that a lot too. They've got that a lot.
And we know that was rigged anyway under the Babangida, Abacha, and Abdul Salam era. Those 3 areas, they came and changed everything. And there is no such thing as South. That's all a lie. The indigenous people really does matter. The point that Jane really likes to make, and I want to emphasize that. And that impacts why the funds that they've taken away from us, they've used that balkanization of the of all of those indigenous people into areas to favor them, to oppress us in the south. It's important we understand those numbers and how they, by moving those things around, they've said, oh look, there's more of us, and now we're trying to break that down. Dapo, I honestly,
like to say,
yeah,
I like to say something on this. Sorry, this is Dion.
Oh, sorry.
I like to say something on this. I like this slide on the GDP, but I'm always concerned about when we compare GDPs like this, because all these countries that we have compared, they have definite ways of measuring their economy. We don't have it in this country called Nigeria. We don't have it. We don't know how many people are in the what we call the informal sector. We don't even have the figures. So those figures, if you add them up to here, it will be better. It does not change the general figure, but it will be better. So let's not be carried away too much. Also, the other thing that we have to remember is that the problem really is the value of the naira. It's a stupid currency that we are comparing with dollar. So we can't compare 500. Which law says that the naira must be 560, 570?
Okay, thank you very much, Dion. Let's.
Dion,
I think
exactly.
that.
I would just like to point out the fact that, you see, when you factor in the fact that in the north, in some cases we've had that they exchange the dollar for 20 naira, whilst we are paying 500 naira to 700 naira in the south. That kind of explains that disparity that you're looking at there. So I'll just leave that there.
And let's be clear, when you look at the folks that are exchanging these funds, where are they from? Have you looked at them? Have you seen any middle belt or south? The new south. Let me just call it the new south.
Yeah.
Have you seen them exchanging funds outside? No, they're malams, right? They're boki. That's why you have the yeah. They're not. Even there, we're also marginalized. Okay, we bring that up. Even there, we're marginalized. So, I mean, it doesn't matter where you look, and again, what I'm saying is that, like these numbers, look great, right? It looks like we're taking stuff in the alliance territory. But again, when you look at who is sitting atop of all those revenue generating areas and who's actually taking the money, then you realize it's really not that much going anywhere, right? It's staying in that less than 1% of the population that's eating 80% of what's coming in, and then the rest of it is going into
let me just interject there. Somebody on the screen just said that I don't like to hear the questions and comments made by Dion Odipe, and that's not the case. We are we want to have discussion. The very idea for Ninas to have kind of discussion like this on a weekly basis is to encourage people to debate and actually share opinions. That way you can move forward. So you, whoever wrote that, you're very, very much wrong. Jane is happy to listen to things. So is Mudukwe, so is Dakpo. We are all here to enlighten ourselves. And to come into this thing with that idea that we're thinking, we don't want to hear different opinions. We need to hear different opinions. That's how you win arguments. So I just like to
but let's be clear as to what Dion was saying too. Dion was saying that we should look at it in a different way, but he said it doesn't change the reality of what we're talking about. He did say that. So let's not try to say that Dion is against the information. He isn't. Exactly. He's saying that there are different ways that you can look at it, but he says you're still going to get the same results. So that's kind of what.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that clarification, Dean.
Okay, guys, we are going to come into the end of this, and this is really exciting. Thank you very much, Dapo. As you can see, everyone is really excited by this information, because this is what we need to be talking about, and this is where Ninas comes in, right? Because this is what Ninas is about. It's taking the information, breaking it down, and Dapo, obviously, you'll be coming back, to share some more.
We beg, he must come back.
We still want to know where the loans, the loan money, that's going to be a good one. Where's the loan money going, right? But this is what Nina's does, is bringing the information and all of us together, right, in the Alliance territory. You know, we come here every week and we talk about things, we break it down, we have fun, but we make sure that people understand that this is serious. This is very serious. Like Modupe was saying earlier, guys, you need to be on Twitter. We need to have like 1 million of us on Twitter, tweeting every week. We don't.
Yeah.
So where is everybody? Guys, you gotta wake up. The reason why we're doing this is to bring you on board so that we can use the medium that we have in the world today to make this very, so that the world can hear. Where's all those TikTokers? Where are the young people? Young people, TikTokers, we need you to take our information and do those TikTok things and get it everywhere. What about Instagram, right? Instagram, Facebook, we need everyone's hand on deck. And as Chike mentioned earlier, you can't fight freedom with stones. It needs money. Yeah. So please, you need to go to Nina's Voice, that's NINAS Voice, VOICE.org. Yeah. And please donate and make it monthly, okay? If you want to donate $10 monthly, 20, 100, some people can even donate 5,000 monthly because they're making a lot of money, right? Please do so, because this freedom fight takes money. Protecting our people takes money. So everyone needs to be doing their part, right? We need folks who are going to make videos. We need folks who are going to write articles that will go into papers. We need folks who will host these shows. We need to have 1 or 2 of these daily going on, okay? And we've got lots of people who've got the voice, they've got the personality. I mean, come on, we can get you, set up, and you can have every day of the week. We need to have 1 or 2 going on. Okay, so everybody has something that they can contribute, and we're asking everyone to contribute. Learn the information. Go out to Nina's NINAS Voice VOICE.org. Go out to Nina's FFN, Nina's Freedom from Nigeria.org. Go to freedomfromnigeria.com. There's lots of places for you to get to information, okay? So we're just urging everyone to get involved, because it's the people that will lead us to the freedom, okay? Knowledge is power, and power is freedom, and people are the ones that take that freedom. So Ayo, if you can round up, and we will be done for the day.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to first of all thank Dapo, and of course Jean and Mudukwe, and everybody who spoke. Look, it's important to state this. We all matter in this struggle. Every single Southerner matters. You watching me, you have a role to play. Please volunteer yourself for this struggle. That is the only way we can defeat this thing. It's the only way we can defeat the Fulani aggression brought into our land. Remember, they are oppressing us in our land. So we need to encourage our people. The knowledge we're sharing here, the reason why we're sharing this knowledge is to encourage you to have the confidence to believe in the future of the Southerners without the oppression of the Fulanis on our necks every single time. We can do this. That's what I said at the beginning. We have to have that self-belief, and we need to go forward. The work done by Dakpo here is incredible. The breakdown of the numbers to find out we're spending something like 47% more in terms of capital expenditure when it's 24%. It's gone up more than double. Hey, what are we doing? It doesn't make
building the railroad to Niger.
It doesn't make economic sense to be part of the contraption corner. It really doesn't make economic sense.
But it's a fraudulent union anyway.
It's a fraud. The constitution is a fraud. I mean, part of what we said near Ngodo. I mean, the copy of the constitution that they used on that day was the one that they swore Obasanjo on, and nobody else had a copy. That was a fraud right there. You do not start a democracy by actually keeping all of the document away from everybody, and then say, oh, now we have a democracy. The very fact that how you begin a democracy is to actually get people to vote on it, to actually be part of that process, make it open. The minute you close it, It is a unity system. It's a military junta. It is everything but a democracy.
Yeah.
So we are
Military
emphasizing
Decree
that.
24. Military Decree 24.
Yeah, decree number 24 of 1999. Now, please, one more thing. Our women and Jean and Mudukwe, and please, I'm going to speak to you guys about this. The rape, please, I'm sorry about it. There's a rape that happened in Ogun State, and it's happened in other states 3 days ago. And I'm crying inside. The last 3 days, I'm not well. I don't feel right. Because the Fulanis, they went into a church. They raped 2 15 to 16-year-old girls and a woman in the front of the whole congregation in the church. In the church.
This is barbaric. It is barbaric. Barbaric.
Very, very.
I have no words. It's barbaric.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the clip and it was just, I mean, very, very, very devastating to watch. And, you know, I can't even start to imagine, you know, the agony.
And the government says nothing.
Nothing.
The government says
even our
nothing.
local leaders said nothing.
The governors, the House of Reps, the senators, they say nothing. And they want to go to elections in 2023. Say no to 2023 elections. It's an agent of death and humiliation and marginalization and apartheid. Okay, the masses must arise.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
It is sickening.
Absolutely crazy.
It is so shocking. So I wanted to state that point. Right now, when I said at the beginning of the show, when after you brought me on to talk, Jane, I mentioned about that we need to participate. We need vigilantes. I am serious. Now, they go into churches. The week before, they abducted 3 more people in another church. So they are targeting the churches. So tonight, we are telling everybody, stop doing your night vigils, please. Stop. You are leaving yourself open to attack. You are leaving yourself open to be raped. Every single person, you're a woman, if you're going night, please rule out night vigil. You are not safe in contraption Nigeria.
I think this is, if you recall what retired T.Y. Danjuma said in 2018.
Yes.
And it was replayed by, unfortunately, the late Melafia, some other people.
Yeah.
And he said very clearly, right? He said very clearly, the military are not neutral. He said they collude.
That's it.
They collude with these people. It was very clear about what he was saying. And he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And we have seen it unfolding day in, day out, day in, day out. How is it possible that a government cannot condemn or contain his kinsmen? Okay? The Fulani herdsmen are going about killing, raping, maiming, and Buhari says nothing, does nothing.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, oh, is this Sheikh, whatever his name is, Gurme, talking about, oh, they have families. Oh, they have families. But then they're destroying and killing other people's families. Okay? And nothing happens to them. And they even take the Boko Haram terrorists and put them in the armed forces.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
The ICC. Look at the report from the ICC. Boko Haram and the Nigerian armed forces are committing crimes against humanity. As against indigenous Nigerians that rise to the level of war crimes. That's what we're talking about. It's rising to the level of war crimes.
It is. It is.
I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So,
Jane,
go ahead.
Jane, before we leave, if you can just, you know, kind of maybe in a sentence or two, tell us how we as a group, you know, everyone here and those on the forum, how we can be more, how we can have all hands on deck. Not just like watching, but also doing. So you can, actually, there was an example from earlier today. If we, where somebody wanted to, bring something to, some kind of news, and then you went onto Twitter, and I thought it was a very good thing. That's why I'm saying it, right? so that we can all emulate that. You know, you went on Twitter and you actually put that news on there, and then you had people, and then you came back and put a link in on, you know, on the forum to say, you know, people, I mean, like, people can go and just follow that. And I've even done that with you, Ayo, as well. You know, I've seen some of the things that you tweeted out and I've responded to it. So I think if we can describe to the people and we can actually, you know, make it clear to them, you know, that these are these are the steps that you can take to, you know, to participate and also, you know, be active in this, on this regarding this cause or this, I don't even know.
In our struggle.
This initiative or whatever, you know. So then it's going to be, please.
I mean, we keep repeating this day in, day out, okay? The world is on social.
We need to continue to repeat it.
I know, every time, and that's why I mentioned it earlier, that you had mentioned it, and we're mentioning it again, you know, Citizen AY had mentioned it, you know. We have to be on social media, right? And so that's, you know, a lot of them, especially for the people in the diaspora, because we have the ability to be able to be on social media, right? And the example that Modibo is given is, you know, I tell everyone, right? WhatsApp, it's us on WhatsApp. Stop sending all these messages to all the different platforms. We're on it already.
Yeah.
Take your message, post it on Twitter, post it on Facebook.
Outside.
Take the link and post that link and ask people to go and retweet it.
Yeah.
Take action and stop the talk action.
That's
we're always talking. We need to do action. We need to act. Exactly. We need to do that, you know. And like I said previously, there are lots of things that we can do. Write to your lawmakers, you know, in whatever country you are. It is germane. They need to support us, right? Doesn't matter where you are. In the U.S., you got to write to your lawmakers, whatever country you're in. Write to your lawmakers and have them support the indigenous Nigerians to get their freedom, right? So we've got lots of writers, you know, send your articles to the newspapers. You can do that around the world. We need that information. You know what I mean? So there's lots of things that we can do that's practical. Practical things that we do. When we have a march, show up. Show up for the marches, right? When we have a virtual march, show up.
And I want to say one more thing. It's the question too, because, you know, some people will say, you know, just writing and going to UN and doing all of this does not work, you know. So can you kind of, enlighten us on why we're doing this? Because, you know, if we don't know why we're doing something, we will not be energized, you know, to continue to do it. So
absolutely. I think people don't, and the only example I'm going to give to people is this one. George Floyd in the US. And all it took was people sharing, people saw what was happening and took the videos from all different angles to show that this person is killing this person deliberately. And then they had the courage to post it out everywhere. And so when people saw this, the outrage was not just in America, people.
Around the world.
Europe, Asia, Africa, everybody got up. And so when they stand up and say, oh, you know, marches doesn't work and, you know, getting information out there doesn't work, that's a great example of where it was resounding. Everybody got to see it and everybody cringed and acted to do something. If it isn't successful, right, then the Black people in America would never have gotten free.
Yeah.
Because that's what MLK did.
Yeah.
They marched and they marched and they spoke and they spoke and they used the tools in their day to make their point and to see that they were on stage all the time. Nigerians, indigenous Nigerians, that's what we need to do. Okay, we make these comments. Where are your facts?
Yeah.
Where are your facts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, until the world gets to see it. Because pay attention, people. Nigeria has ambassadors in all the countries.
Yeah.
Ambassadors like Buratai. What is Buratai telling the country people? What is he telling the people there? Is he telling them that Nigerians, that indigenous Nigerians are being killed? He's not telling them that. Is he telling them that churches are being burned down? He's not telling them that. Is he telling them that women are being raped? right? In front of others, that they're being kidnapped, and the government keeps paying money to that, and the government does not condemn these acts or prosecute these people? Is he telling them that Miiti Allah and the Fulani herdsmen are not labeled as terrorists? What is he telling them? If you don't speak, no one is going to hear our story.
Yeah.
We need to drive our own narrative.
That's it.
And that's what Mutubu is talking about. It's our narrative.
Yeah.
And it's you and I that must drive that narrative. So if you're not using the tools that are available today, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then on the ground, all of us here that know this, because when I speak to people on the ground, a lot of them don't know what's going on. You got to connect with your school alma mater. You got to connect with the, with your professional groups. You got to connect with your churches, with your family, with your villages. Tell them what's going on. You've got to let them know what's going on, because everyone says, oh, it's only the people in the diaspora. They don't know what's going on in Nigeria. No, we know what's going on in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We look at the newspapers, we see the videos, and we authenticate them. We work with NGOs that have the real information. Amnesty International, Amnesty Nigeria, right? They're in Nigeria. They have this information. The UN itself is publishing the number of people killed in Nigeria. The UN itself. Wow. Where are they getting those numbers from? Are they making it up? Is the ICC making up the numbers when they did war crimes? Are they making it up? It's real. But do our people know that that happened? They don't. We have to get the information to them, right? And we have to have the world see that information. Just because it was in the paper once doesn't mean that everybody saw it. We gotta push it out there over and over and over and over and over and over again until it's heard. That's what we have to do. So again, AY,
can I just
take us?
One more thing.
Can I?
Yeah. Okay. Dapo, go ahead. Let me hang on. Let me.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about, if you look all over, a lot of people don't know that diaspora and there has to be a connection. If you look at, just take 3 countries in Africa, self-determination conversation for balkanization of African countries is something that is even fundamentally derived from the 1886 Berlin Conference, where countries were put on friendly neighbors. If you take 3 examples, in Cameroon, the Ambazonians, they're fighting for their own self-determination to be free from the larger part of Cameroon. That's the English-speaking part of Cameroon want to be separated from the French-speaking part of Cameroon.
Yes.
If you look at South Sudan, that just recently got their own nation. Even in the smaller nation, there are 3 separate groups: the Dinkas, the Nuers, and the Equatorials. And the 3 of them are also trying to have a conversation, with the Dinkas trying to hold the rest of the 2 ethnic nations, which is the Nuer people and the Equatorial people together, and they are saying they want to also exercise their right to self-determine and manage their own territory. If you look at what is currently trending today, everybody is talking about it. The situation that is happening in the Horn of Africa, where the Amaras, the Tigrayans, and the Oromos are fighting for their own self-determination, and the Oromos are actually winning their determination, so much so that it is rumored that the Abiy of has fled the country, and they're taking over the capital, and they are trying to take their own country.
Exactly.
So there's revolutions sweeping across Africa. The Northern Revolution has happened, and it's looking like the rest of Africa is actually catching on to that revolution. And the immediate effect will be that a lot of countries will be supported by the international community to exercise their right to self-determination. So if we do not want to have a situation whereby when Nigeria's turn happens, we don't win our referendum, we need to make sure we're intentional about disseminating disinformation so that we can reach a critical mass before it gets to our turn to vote for freedom. So this freedom requires you more than you know it, because a lot of people are sleeping in Nigeria, and they need to wake up, and they need to be well awake, because what is happening in Ethiopia today, if the Oromos had not done a good job to sensitize their people, the US would have come and said they are fighting a war against their government, or they are trying to liberate themselves from their government. But today, everybody understands that what is happening in that country is just simple self-determination. The Tigrayans have done it, they've left them. The Eritreans have done it, they left them. The Oromos are now doing it to leave the Amaras of and the Amaras are like the Fulanis, they're hell-bent on holding the rest of the country back. But those people actually have their own self-determination and they're exercising it, even in their constitution. So Nigeria is a whole lot behind because we've been sleeping for so long. We're when it was balkanized, we were asleep when it was meshed together as North and South. We've been asleep and giving them free money to subsidize their oligarchy and hegemony over the rest of us. But now we are waking up, and the diasporans are awake. You have a huge burden. You know what a normal civilization is supposed to be, and you know that what is obtainable in Nigeria is absolutely not correct. So you have to be very take the burden, because you send some people some videos sometimes, and they will tell you that, oh, I didn't know this is happening. Or you be like, you're so frustrated, but you have to understand that a lot of people are sleeping, and you know, at different people when you're trying to wake them up. There are some people you touch them once and they wake up. Some people you touch them 2 times, they wake up. Some people you slap them 20 times before they even turn to acknowledge that you're trying to wake them up. That is the situation with a lot of Nigerians in Nigeria. So don't be surprised when you send things to people and they're like, they don't even understand, they don't connect with it. A lot of Nigerians are sleeping, and you must be, because when it gets to the stage of referendum, being asleep or being awake, it becomes a propaganda by the government trying to say that don't vote to leave Nigeria, vote to stay. So we have to make sure that we have been able to sensitize everybody to reach that critical mass that is going to be able to achieve the results we know is correct for the country. If not, we would end up like the Scottish people that lost their referendum. We must be like, we must win our referendum, we must win our fight. And we can do it is that we must be intentional. Everybody must take it as it, because each one teach one. Just like the Black nationalism movement of the 1950s in America, just think of it as your own contribution, that sensitization, that extra effort to retweet, to share a banner, to share an information, to just drag somebody for meeting that will drag another person for meeting. Before you know it, you're reaching a critical mass, and that information is moving organically. That's the one the government cannot stop. The one on these channels, television, everything is paid propaganda. They will continue to recycle the nonsense that they can control. The real truth is out here, and we must be very intentional about sharing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Jane.
Imoro do you have a comment or a question?
Yeah. Imoro, do you have a comment or question? Let me add him to the call.
Yeah, well, thank you for giving me a chance. We have been talking about these things and these atrocities, and they're despicable, they're horrible. And these things have been going on for years. And definitely, Ninas is doing something that's positive and productive. But you know what? I mean, the speaker before me was talking about the Ethiopians. They are not just doing something necessarily in terms of using social media. They are fighting. These Fulani people, they don't understand anything maybe more than force. Because when you look at it, when they no, please let me just say what I have to say, because I'm a Christian and I believe in peace. But you see, when you see these people going to churches, they're killing people, they're raping women, they're doing evil, and they will continue to. They've been doing it for years. And my concern is that how they're going to be stopped? Is this just the way they're going to be stopped? Because they're not listening. The government in Abuja is not a friend to the people of the South.
Yeah.
And we got to be, talking about the ambassadors and all these people. They don't care. They're not going to help us. Anyway, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but it is troubling. It is very troubling. And if the Fulanis were losing some of their compatriots, or the people who are doing all these atrocities, if they were getting casualties, they would think twice about what they've been doing. Thank you.
I think that's what I was saying is something that we were talking about earlier, as Ayo talked about the fact that we now see the in Middle Belt, where I'm from.
Yes.
From Benue, and our governor is making it clear, because we've been asking the question, come on, governors, pick up the government. The federal government says it can't protect your people. There's nothing holding you back from arming your security forces to stop these people. The government has failed, because the minister came out and said they cannot support you.
Yeah.
Right? They say they cannot protect the people, which is the primary objective
of the government.
The government has failed. It's not failing. It has failed. It has
Abjectly.
failed in protecting the people. It has failed in holding those that are doing it responsible. So the governors need to stand up, because what you know what's going to happen if people start, because they went around and took guns from people.
Yeah.
If people now take guns, then the police is going to go door to door again and killing people. Okay, that's the risk with that. And then you have more killings than what you have currently. But each governor, like the governor in Benue, need to say about their security, I'm going to arm the security, and they're going to stand against these people. Period.
Yeah.
Jean.
The lawmakers need to stand up and do what they're supposed to do for their people. They all need to do so.
That's correct. That's correct.
So Jean, let me just also add to what to what you said, and then in response to Emoro's prompt or statement. So that that these people, the Fulanis are very barbaric, and they are committing all of these atrocities, and that talking is not going to basically solve the problem. Actually, the problem is multifaceted. So what is going on is that some people are sponsoring those people to do that. Mm-hmm. So, and you will not fight those ones that are sponsoring, with boots on the ground, right? So by sensitizing our people, who are local, those people they will know how to, they will now be prepared to, to defend themselves. That's that. But then what about those who are sponsoring them, who they cannot fight with boots on the ground? So that's where you and I will now go ahead and be doing what we're doing so that we're tackling those ones over there.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I would just re-emphasize the point that Jean made and what Modukwe made as well. The fact that what Autumn did was to amend the bill, amend the law. He amended the law in Benue. We are not asking the governors in the south. We are telling them, you must amend that law. Follow the same procedure by Governor Autumn. Amend the law. You have the powers. You've been saying for years now, oh, we haven't got the powers. Well, you've seen one of your governors step up. He's had enough of the killing of his people. Every governor in the south, you are on notice. We need you. No more talk. We want to see that action. You empower your people to protect themselves. Vigilante groups, with legal guns, legalized. Because what the government is doing.
Exactly, because that's what's important. So they can now say that, and start killing people just because of that, because that's what they're going to do.
That's it.
The Minister for Defense came out and said he cannot defend the people. The government has failed. What are we talking about here? If you cannot defend the people, why aren't the governors defending us? Yeah. They need to be defending the people, because the federal government has said they can't do it.
Yeah,
So you need to arm your vigilante groups. You need to get some strong security to protect your people.
Indeed.
You've got the money.
So we will be. So I think one of the things we should all do, Emoro, 1 second. One of the things we should all do is, I think we should urge everybody. Don't wait for us to tell you. Start getting to your governors. Start telling them, send them the video of Governor Autumn in each state.
And we have them all on Twitter. They're all on Twitter too.
To all of them on Twitter. Take the action. Let's all make that an action. I will be doing something as well. You'll be seeing something that I'll be putting out, and that's what we need to do.
You initiate something on Twitter, and we all go for it.
Okay.
You know what?
That was intense.
Every week from here on now, every week, right after this program, we're going to spend 30 minutes, and everybody will join, and we'll go on Twitter and tweet together.
That's it.
So I expect, next week, that's November 13th, right? And we're going to send out the meeting invite for that as well. It's going to be a Twitter, it's going to be the Alliance Twitter day, right after this, because we have to do something. We gotta stop this thing.
Let's hear from Emoro, because I think you want to say something. Go ahead, Emoro.
I want to say something.
Oh, sorry, not Emoro. Okay, go ahead. Let me.
By bringing up what the governor of Benue State did, it's exactly why I did it. because the first measure was to free them to do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
And the governor got that because he had a one-on-one conversation with somebody. That's why he was able to do it. If you tell every governor to do that, Nigeria, the Fulani will stop the nonsense they're doing.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. That is it.
That's what we need
exactly.
to do.
So we need to get on.
Indigenous
Everybody.
Nigerians.
You have a
That's
task
what
now.
we need to do.
That's the task for everybody.
That's what we're gonna do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody.
They have no excuse now. Remember when the Southwest, after they had consulted with Ninas, they took on open grazing, remember?
Indeed.
And Niutiala screamed, the government screamed, and the governor told them, you better come talk to us.
Yeah.
And then when they came and talked to them, they were like, oh, well, we need to, let's work it out. They went from, screaming to, because we're on our land, right? We're nations. We're nations. You can't just come in and be killing our people and get away with it. So all the governors, we're calling all the governors in the Alliance territory, do your part. We're calling on the senators. We're calling on the House of Reps. You guys need to do the work that the people are paying you to do, overpaying you to do. But you need to do your part. Okay, you need to stand with your people. And not with the people who are killing them.
That's it.
Okay, you need to open your mouth. You need to go into the laws, and you need to protect your people. Period.
That's it.
The federal government says it cannot protect your people.
Yeah, it's your job. You're the chief security officer. Do it.
It's their duty. It's their duty to do it.
Let's tweet this.
Yes,
let's tweet it.
We're going to do it. When we finish, we'll be doing that straight away. So,
absolutely. Now, remember, everyone, tell your friends. We're going to have Twitter Saturdays.
Yes.
At the time, we're going to send out the Zoom meeting invitation. Everyone needs to get it everywhere because we need thousands of people coming together and tweeting at the same time. We need tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and we need to start and keep building it up.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. See you all next week.
Thank you.
But this was a great discussion. I'm going to figure out how to kind of break this for today because there was a lot of great conversation into smaller bits so that we can send it out, and post them out separately as well, in addition to posting the whole thing. So people will get to see, different portions of what we did today because there was a lot that we got covered today.
Very much.
Everyone, thank you, Madupe. Citizen AY, always good to have you. I'm really excited that you are that you're on here. Chike, thank you. Imora, Dion, thank you for your comment over there, and obviously Thomas, really excited.
Yeah, too, for shooting fine.
Dapo.
Dapo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I said, and I said Omoba is here too, but she's very quiet. At all.
But Thomas really brought that perspective because Thomas is from the middle belt where his people are being killed.
Yeah, that's true.
For a while.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas.
Because they're trying to break through. If you guys recall the history and what's why history, the middle belt stopped this invasion. Okay, and so they've been taking the brunt of it. And so a lot of people say, "Oh, where's the middle belt? Where's the middle belt?" Well, the middle belt has been shouldering. They've been taking the brunt of being the fact that they're the ones that are stopping their movement to the south. Okay, so we need to, again, this is an alliance. It's not asking where's the southwest, where's the southeast, where's the south. No, we all need to work together, right? We all need to work together. That's what's key. Okay,
Indeed.
That's what's very, very key. So again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Same time next week, I'm sure we'll have a new cast of characters.
Yes.
We always
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Omoba.
Thank you. Yeah, you have to come on. You gotta come on.
I see you.
Thank you so much.
Haven't spoken yet.
I know.
Everybody
I
that
came
comes
very
on
late.
this
So
program,
let's put everybody on.
speaking partner, which means you gotta learn stuff and you gotta come share it here.
I know. I came very late. I was taking care of my little one. My wife
great
just
dad,
No,
gave
what
birth to a
I'm
baby
talking
boy.
about is that you need to join a platform so that you can be part of the presenters, because what we do is we get our people
Okay.
prepped, and then that way you can be presenting, and hopefully we'll be able to get you to have your own show, like a half an hour show, one day.
Okay, out.
Yes.
I'll do that
That's
too.
it.
I'll
You
try
can't
my
say no
best.
now. When the beautiful lady is asking you, you can't say no. I'm afraid.
I can say no. Yeah.
No, you can't say no. No, you can't say no. So that's where we need to get to, guys. That's what we need to get to.
Okay.
We need to be
Yeah.
on 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
always have a show, and then maybe we'll go to 2 shows 7 days a week. Then we have
Wow.
3 shows 7 days a week.
Wow.
That's what we need to have goals, and we need to keep building on it. Deshola, I see you over there, and yes, you need to be out speaking as well. You need to be a presenter. So we're just gonna start, getting people in their timelines, and Citizen AY and I will be there to support. Madupe will be there to support when we launch your programs and get it going. And that's
Mr. Fality is here too. He's inspired as well all day. I didn't even realize he was here.
About that. And Dapo, with your numbers, we need to have a show that's just dedicated every week to all the numbers.
Yes.
We will. I'll have
talking about federal character, and that we're just going to call it, Nigeria about the numbers. So that our people, that's just going to be focused. That's it. Every week at a certain time, we're focused on the numbers. Okay, we'll bring lots of people to talk about it. And Madupe, as you know, the statistics stuff that we're gathering, this is when it becomes very important, right? That's
so let's not forget the tweet. All the governors, everybody on here, outside, around the world, in diaspora, southerners, tweet your governors. They must act now to put an end to this. They must sign the bill. Follow the lead of Governor Autumn. That is the message. Follow the lead of Governor Autumn.
So we're gonna go out there, we're gonna tweet it, and we're gonna blast it in other platforms, and we expect all of you to be out there retweeting. And this is important. This is very, very important. And we need to get some kids to start doing some really, TikTok. TikTok is going, it's going through the young people. So we're gonna get some young people doing some TikTok stuff for us. And you guys should expect to start seeing it within a week or two, where those are going to be out there. Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay, guys, thank you all very much again, and have a great weekend. And remember, next week, this show comes up 7 p.m. Nigeria time.
Yeah, which is
and then after this program, which is about 2 hours, we'll go into Twittering.
Yeah.
So we expect hundreds of people to join us. Yeah. So we're gonna set up the meeting invite, and everyone needs to send it everywhere on Clubhouse, on WhatsApp, send it out on Facebook, post it everywhere, on Twitter. Everyone needs to come and be a part of that inaugural, all of Nina's Twitter session. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a wonderful time.
Everyone can unmute and say hello to each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Thomas. Thank you very much. Stephen.
I'm great.
I'm gonna end the program on here now.
Bye now.
Bye.
Okay, bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So it's bye from here. Those of you on Facebook, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Please do share. Thank you and goodbye.